This episode is brought to you by PayPal. You had plans for the last days of summer. And back-to-school shopping has its own plans. School supplies, dorm essentials, your list doesn't stop. Neither does the spending. But when you pay in full with PayPal, you can pay over time. No interest, no fees. Check out with PayPal and get back to summer. Subject to approval. Learn more at paypal.com/payinfor. PayPal Inc. NMLS 910457.
Welcome to Sephora.
I'm looking for a perfume that's not too perfumey.
I got you.
Serum moisturizer or moisturizer serum.
Let's get into layering.
My concealer is making me look worse?
Sounds like the wrong shade. Let's get you matched.
There's only one store that really gets what you're going for. Get beauty from people who get beauty. Only at Sephora.
Hi,
Let's get you a basket.
Picture this. It's the 1600s, somewhere in the dense, dripping forests of Germany. There's a hole in the ground, and inside that hole is a badger. Not a cute cartoon badger, but a 30-pound, thick-skulled, razor-clawed, extremely unhappy-to-see-you badger, sitting in a tunnel it dug itself, in a den it is fully prepared to die defending. And the German foresters look at this situation and think, you know what we need? A dog. A very specific dog. Short legs, long body, and loose skin so it doesn't get shredded. With a chest like a barrel, and an attitude that says, I'll absolutely go in that hole. That dog is the Dachshund. And today, that same dog gets carried around and dressed up as a hot dog for Halloween. Which, honestly, might be the greatest image rebrand in the history of dogkind. Hello and welcome to Doggone History, a lighthearted history of dogs, one breed at a time. I'm your host, Rich Napolitano. Today's breed has one of the most recognizable silhouettes in the entire dog world. Long body, short legs, big ears, and bigger personality. You've heard it called the wiener dog, the sausage dog, and the gutsy. Officially, it's the Dachshund, and it has one of the most purpose-built, function over form origin stories of any breed. So let's get to it. Let's start with the name, because it tells you almost everything you need to know about this dog's original job description. Dachshund is a compound German word. Dachs meaning badger, Hund meaning dog. Put them together and you get, literally, badger dog. Not cute little dog or lap dog, badger dog. Another option could have been badger removal specialist. Now, if you want to sound like you know German, which I do not, it's pronounced closer to Dachshund. Most Americans say Dachshund, or just skip the whole thing and say Doxy, which honestly is easier for everybody. Either way, you're technically saying badger dog every time you talk about your Dachshund, and I think that's a fact more owners should bring up at parties. And then there's the nickname everyone actually uses, wiener dog. And it makes total sense when you look at one. That long body and short legs really do call to mind a certain processed meat product. I'll come back to that wiener branding a little later, because it actually caused the breed some real problems in the 20th century. But first, how do you even end up with a dog shaped like a sausage in the first place? Europeans had been using dogs to hunt badgers since at least the Middle Ages. France, Spain, other parts of Germany all had their own local badger dog traditions going back centuries. Early depictions of dachshund-like dogs even show up in European manuscripts as far back as the 1400s. But the dachshund as a distinct, deliberately bred dog really starts taking shape in the late 1600s, and really gets going in the 1700s, when German foresters and hunters began breeding this type consistently, rather than just occasionally getting a short-legged dog and saying, well, that one's good at holes. And here's the thing. Badgers are not a pushover. They've got thick skin, powerful jaws, sharp claws, and they will absolutely fight to the death in their own den. A great pick for mascot for the University of Wisconsin, for sure. So designing a dog to go in after one wasn't about cuteness. It was engineering. This breed needed short legs so it could actually fit into a badger tunnel, a long, narrow, barrel-shaped chest and body, again, tunnel-shaped for a tunnel-shaped problem, Loose, thick skin so the dog wouldn't get seriously torn up in a close quarters fight underground, big paddle-like paws for digging, floppy ears that fold down and keep dirt and debris out, and temperamentally, some serious guts. A dog that will not back down from something bigger and angrier than it is. That last one is important, and we'll come back to it because if you've ever owned a dachshund, you already know. This dog was bred to fight a badger. It has never fully let go of that energy, even when the biggest threat in the house is the vacuum cleaner. Genetically, the Dachshund's family tree draws from scent hounds and terrier-type dogs. Hound lineage for that relentless nose and tracking stamina. Terrier grit for the willingness to actually engage the badger once it is found. Some breed historians point to hounds like the Bruno Jura hound or bloodhound-type dogs as likely ancestors on the scenting side. And this worked. The Dachshund became, functionally, a heat-seeking missile for badgers. Low enough to enter the den, tough enough to survive the fight, and driven enough to actually finish the job. Sorry to all the badgers out there. But here's where the breed starts to specialize even further. In the 1800s, Germany had a boom in its rabbit population, and a 30-plus pound badger fighting dachshund is a little bit of an overkill for chasing a rabbit. So breeders scaled the dog down, creating the miniature dachshund, purpose-built for rabbits and hares, while the larger standard dachshund kept working on badgers, foxes, and sometimes even wild boar hunting in packs. And there's the coat situation. Dachshunds come in 3 official varieties: smooth, wire-haired, and long-haired. But this wasn't just for fashion. Each coat had a job. The smooth coat is considered the original, closest to those early hound and terrier cross dogs. Sleek, low maintenance, and good for general hunting conditions. The wire-haired dachshund came later, developed by crossing in terrier breeds, wire-haired pinchers and various terriers, to create a rougher, weatherproof coat that could handle brush, brambles, and cold without the dog getting torn up before it even reached the badger. And the long-haired dachshund is thought to have come from crossing in spaniel-type dogs, giving it a softer coat and a slightly gentler look, while still being a fully capable hunter underneath all that hair. By the late 1800s, German breeders had formalized all of this. The first German Dachshund breed club was founded in 1888, which is really when the Dachshund stops being a regional type of hunting dog and starts being a breed in the modern sense, standardized, documented, and bred to a specific look and purpose. Dachshunds started showing up outside Germany in a big way in the 1800s, and they were a hit. Queen Victoria was famously a big fan of dogs, and she kept dachshunds among other breeds and helped popularize them in British high society. They made their way to the United States too, and by 1885 the dachshund was officially recognized by the American Kennel Club, making it one of the earlier breeds on the AKC's books. The Dachshund Club of America followed in 1895. By the early 1900s, dachshunds were genuinely popular and fashionable pets in the US and the UK. A cute, portable, quirky little dog, and things were going great. But then came the Great War, World War I.
This episode is brought to you by PayPal. You had plans for the last days of summer. And back-to-school shopping has its own plans. School supplies, dorm essentials, your list doesn't stop. Neither does the spending. But when you pay in full with PayPal, you can pay over time. No interest, no fees. Check out with PayPal and get back to summer. Subject to approval. Learn more at paypal.com/payinfor. PayPal Inc. NMLS 910457.
Welcome to Sephora.
I'm looking for a perfume that's not too perfumey.
I got you.
Serum moisturizer or moisturizer serum.
Let's get into layering.
My concealer is making me look worse.
Sounds like the wrong shade. Let's get you matched.
There's only one store that really gets what you're going for. Get beauty from people who get beauty. Only at Sephora.
Let's get you a basket.
Because the dachshund is so unmistakably and unapologetically German, it's basically a walking, embarking symbol of Germany. Because of this, the breed took a direct hit to its popularity during both world wars of the 20th century. Anti-German sentiment ran high, and owning a dachshund suddenly felt, to a lot of people, a little bit too pro-German, So owners got creative. During World War I, some dachshund owners started calling their dogs Liberty Hounds, or Liberty Pups instead, swapping out anything that sounded German for something safely patriotic. And they weren't alone in this. German Shepherds went through the exact same thing around the same time, getting rebranded as Alsatians in the UK, a name that actually stuck there for decades. The Dachshund took another hit in popularity during World War II, for the same reason. But here's the thing. Much like the actual dog itself, the breed's reputation is stubborn. It kept bouncing back. By the mid-20th century, the Dachshund had fully rebuilt its image and was climbing right back up the popularity charts. This time as a beloved companion dog, and a badger specialist a distant, if not entirely forgotten, second. Once the Dachshund settles into life as a companion dog, it starts showing up everywhere in culture. And this is honestly one of my favorite parts of the breed's story. Pablo Picasso had a dachshund named Lump. That's right, Lump. L-U-M-P. A name that just means goblin or rascal in German slang. And Lump wasn't just a pet. He was basically embedded in Picasso's creative life for years, showing up in the artist's work and famously getting the run of the studio. If you've ever had a dachshund decide it owns your house, you understand the dynamic completely. Writers love them too. E.B. White, the author of Charlotte's Web, owned a famously disobedient dachshund named Fred, and White wrote about the sheer futility of trying to train him with a level of exasperated affection that any dachshund owner today will recognize instantly. And as a beagle owner, I also understand that. He basically said he'd have better luck training a zebra to balance a circus club than getting Fred to listen to a command. That stubborn streak we talked about earlier, well, Fred had it in full. And then there's the international dachshund pop culture moment, the 1972 Munich Olympics. The organizing committee wanted a mascot that captured the spirit of the games, and specifically something cheerful, since Munich was branding these as the Cheerful Games. At a Christmas party in 1969, staff sat around with crayons and clay, trying to come up with mascot ideas. And the one that stuck was a dachshund, modeled after a real wire-haired dachshund puppy painted in pastel Olympic stripes, deliberately avoiding red and black to steer clear of any uncomfortable historical associations. They named him Waldy. Waldy became the first official mascot in Olympic history. The marathon course that year was even designed to trace his outline. Runners started at his neck, looped through a park for his mouth, and finished through another park representing his tail. 50 different manufacturers were licensed to produce Waldy merchandise, and over 15 official versions were made. Not bad for a badger hunting dog from the forests of Bavaria. Dachshunds were picked because they are popular in Germany, but also because, according to the organizers, they genuinely embody the qualities of a good athlete, tenacity and agility, which, if you think about the breed's original job, tracks perfectly. So where does that leave the Dachshund today? It consistently is one of the more popular breeds in the US and worldwide. The AKC and kennel clubs throughout the world still recognize the standard and miniature sizes and all three coat types. You'll sometimes hear the term tweenie for a dachshund that falls in between standard and miniature size. Not an official classification, but a real thing breeders and owners talk about. Temperamentally, dachshunds are still very much the dog that was bred to fight a badger. Confident, stubborn, big dog energy in a small dog body. A prey drive that will absolutely activate for a squirrel, a rolling ball, or occasionally an ankle. If you've ever wondered why your 12-pound dachshund is fully convinced it can take on a Great Dane, the badger hunting resume explains a lot. There is a real health consideration worth mentioning, briefly, because it's directly connected to the breed's history. That long back and short-legged body, the exact shape that made this dog so good at tunnel work, also makes dachshunds more prone to spinal issues, particularly something called intervertebral disc disease, or IVDD. It's one of the trade-offs of breeding a dog into such a specific elongated shape. Not a reason to avoid the breed, just something responsible owners and breeders keep an eye on. But mostly, today's dachshunds live a very different life than its ancestors. Still occasionally a working dog in parts of Europe, still a show dog in conformation rings around the world, but overwhelmingly a companion, a couch enthusiast, a dog that will burrow under your blankets with the same instinct that once set it into a badger's den, except now the prey is just a warm spot to sleep. There are dachshund races held around the world. You might have heard of the Wiener Nationals held at various tracks and events, plus plenty of local Oktoberfest adjacent dachshund races. They are exactly as chaotic and delightful as they sound. A pack of short-legged dogs sprinting in roughly the intended direction. The breed's association with actual hot dogs runs deep. That wiener dog nickname connects right back to the German sausage, and dachshund imagery has been used in American food advertising for generations, because the visual pun basically writes itself. And one last thing, despite the stereotype of this tiny lapdog, the original German dachshunds bred for badger hunting were considerably bigger than the standard dachshunds we picture today, with some in the 30 to 40 pound range. The compact sausage dog image most people have is really more associated with the miniature variety, which only came along once rabbits, not badgers, became the primary target. So that's the dachshund, a dog engineered, quite literally, to crawl into a hole and fight something big, and yet it somehow became a muse for Picasso, an Olympic mascot, and the reason there's a hot dog costume in every pet store every October. From badger tunnels in 18th century Germany to your couch cushions right now, that's a heck of a journey for a little dog. If you would like to own a dachshund, please contact your local SPCA, Humane Society, Animal Rescue, or other animal shelter. There are millions of cats and dogs waiting to be adopted and to find their forever homes. And please, have your pet spayed or neutered to help reduce the homeless animal population. Now it's time to determine the next dog to be featured on Doggone History. We'll give the randomizer a spin here, and it is the Corgi. Thank you so much for listening to Doggone History. If you enjoy the podcast, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe wherever it is you get your podcasts. All past episodes and transcripts are available at doggonehistory.com. Please join me again next time, but until then, say hi to your dog for me, won't you?
See you.
Avatar: Fire and Ash is now streaming on Disney+. It's the film critics are calling the best Avatar yet.
Go, 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 go!
A true epic and completely jaw-dropping.
This is the only pure thing in this world.
Return to Pandora on Disney+.
It will be an adventure for the whole fam.
And watch the Oscar-winning phenomenon at home.
This is sick!
Avatar: Fire and Ash, now streaming on Disney+. Rated PG-13.